I'm Lily Kelsey, and this is the Max Loves Midland Show.
Welcome back to the Max Loves Midland Show. I'm your weekly tour guide, Kevin LaDuke. And with me today is Lily Kelsey, Conservation Outreach Coordinator. That's a lot of words, Lily.
I know it is. It's kind of confusing.
for Little Forks Conservancy. And we appreciate all of y'all being here with us today, whether you're watching on YouTube, listening on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts, or you could be listening on WSGW. We appreciate you tuning in with the Max Loves Midland Show with us this week. And Lily, we appreciate you joining us here as well.
I am so happy to be here. This is like my dream come true. This is my Midland dream
come true. We got to figure out some new dreams then. I got to tell you what.
No, I've been watching. I'm tuned in. I love this, so I'm excited to be
Lily's
here.
locked in.
I am.
First-time caller, long-time listener.
Exactly.
And we are so excited to have you. But I have to have a first question for you. So if you weren't in the studio right now, where would you be at? Would you be out like on a riverbank? Would you be collecting bugs? Like what kind of stuff would you be doing right now?
I'd say probably if you're looking at it, honestly, I'd be in the office writing emails. But in another perfect day, I could be out removing invasives, probably helping the workday volunteers that we have, or out on the river. Actually, collecting bugs isn't far from what I do a lot. So you're right.
What's awesome is Little Forks Conservancy. I feel like everyone knows about Little Forks Conservancy,
so.
At least in name.
Yeah.
But in terms of knowing exactly the work that you do, I'm not sure everyone connects with that work and understands exactly what that looks like.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to explore that further with you here today. So give me your elevator pitch. What is Little Forks Conservancy, and what does the work at Little Forks Conservancy look like?
Yeah, totally. You're right. A lot of people probably have heard of us before or heard of the word conservancy. Another really common word that gets mixed up with conservancies is conservatory. I'm here to clear it up right now. Conservatory is something completely different. It's got like a greenhouse type vibe to it, like Belle Isle, right? But conservancies and land trusts, which we are just working basically to acquire lands, to protect them, and to connect the community with them. So Little Forks is a nonprofit organization that's been around since 1996. But what's really cool is that it was formed by people in the community who wanted to protect river frontage on the Tittabawassee. And we know that these areas are really important in Midland. And so we do that work. We have 9 nature preserves. We also work with private landowners, which is a little bit different from the nature center. So we're constantly trying to get in contact with people who have lands and help them protect them. And then another part is just educating people. So we have volunteer events, we host hikes, workshops, just trying to build conservationists that will protect important features that make up Midland and Michigan as a whole. So it's really fun, really uplifting work. You get to be outside. But yeah, I love it.
Really important work. And we have the convergence of a couple really important rivers right in our downtown area near our Tridge. But we have so many other spaces in our area too. And in Michigan, I think everyone understands, like, you're always pretty close to a body of water. And those come in different shapes and sizes. And you don't only cover Midland County, correct?
Yes, that's true. So we also do work in Clare and Gladwin as well. So we have one nature preserve in Gladwin that's 270 acres. But a lot of our work is river focused. So up there, we actually protect the Cedar River. We do a lot of work on the Cedar River. But a lot of the protected acres that we have, in total we protect 4,000. 3,000 of them are conservation easements. So those are mainly in Clare and Gladwin areas.
Now, do you cover a very specific area for a reason? Is there a territory that you share with others? And how does that get divvied up in your particular world?
Yeah, so it's kind of different, based on what year we were founded, what the goals of conservancies are. So people might know in Mount Pleasant, there's Chippewa Watershed Conservancy. We both kind of cover Clare. We kind of do half and half. And then Saginaw Basin Land Conservancy to the east. We kind of do a little bit in Bay, just barely, because it's on the edge of, Midland County. But it really just comes down to talking to folks and talking to other people at conservancies and figuring out what sort of projects make sense for them. And so if someone approaches us with a project or land donation that's in Saginaw, that wouldn't be our service area, right? And I think that's good because having people in the area that understand the ecology and the ecosystem, you can better protect and do things you need to do, right? You have a better sense of what's going on within a watershed or within an ecosystem. But at the end of the day, we're not competitive at all because all of our goals are to protect land. So if someone's protecting it, they're protecting it, and that's great. That's the overall mission, especially for us because we're a nonprofit. We're just trying to see this stuff get done. So it's honestly just comes down to conversations a lot.
And being in the nonprofit world,
Yeah.
we understand that relationships are so important for your organization and working with others. And recently we had Dennis Pulaski on, and we talked a lot about the Nature Center. And I'm sure that you have a relationship with the Nature Center as well. I love talking about the collaboration that goes on in this space, because there are a lot of organizations that are working on this type of work, but they're often in different pockets and doing slightly different things, or could be varying different things. And there could even be smaller organizations that people haven't even heard about, real grassroots organizations. So when you're going about your work and you're working in the community collaboratively with others, what does that look like to Little Forks Conservancy?
Yeah, I'd say it, again, kind of changes a lot, right? So you're right, we have a really good relationship with the Nature Center. There's a lot of information sharing that goes on there because we've done different types of projects, or Dennis has some really good insight into a situation, or Alon has good insight as an executive director who's worked there for 25 years about land acquisitions, that we can kind of go back and forth. And you're right, like Wild Ones, right? You met Sue of Wild Ones, the Mid-Mitten chapter. They're doing a lot of native plant work. Honestly, it kind of comes down to people approaching us and talking about a project or talking about an idea, and us thinking, is this something we can take on? Does this align with our mission? Because although we're doing conservation work on our preserves, as a whole, we're trying to do work throughout the entire area. And that isn't just in our lands, right? If somebody reaches out and says, I'm having a problem with invasive species here, even though that's not our property, we want to see those invasive species controlled, because eventually they could end up on our property, right? So it's really just conversation-based, really relationship-based, like you said, which I really like. It helps you understand where people are coming from and how you can solve those issues. But yeah, kind of changes based on what kind of thing you're talking about, right?
And we talk about varying work and things changing.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of the name of the game in nonprofit world, but also just in your particular job as well. I asked what a day might look like for you. It could be emails. It could be out doing stuff with animals. It could be like popping around, looking at different species. Could be down by the river. So as conservation outreach coordinator, that is a pretty large blanket that covers a lot of things, right down to social media.
Yeah.
So you can share a lot of different spaces.
Yeah, for real. It can be a lot, but it is really great for, learning so many different things. I'm doing social media, newsletters, and there's all forms of different kind of communication that work for people when we're talking about getting them involved in conservation, right? Maybe it's reading a blog post about something we've done that's inspired them, or maybe it's an event that we communicated that they came out and hiked with us and saw something visually. So I'm doing, like you said, things in the office that are boring, but I'm also doing things like this, or I have a presentation later today, just honestly talking about the work that we're doing so that it's clear for people. We want it to be the norm that people understand conservancies and conservation and understand that we need their help to protect the lands that we all love.
Speaking my language, because anytime anything happens at an organization, it's always about public relations, communication. How are you getting the word out? Where are you fitting in at? And my mantra is, we are all communicators all the time. No matter what, we are always sending some sort of message, and you are embodying that and living that for your organization. So appreciate you being here in Midland.
Of course, I love it.
But I don't think that you always thought you'd land up here in Midland. No. So let's talk a little bit about your upbringing. Where are you originally from? Yeah,
I'm from Flint. So I grew up there. I went to Kersley and Davison schools. I had a really great childhood, honestly, looking back at it. 3 other siblings, and my parents were always so involved, getting us involved in stuff. So you're right, I never thought I would end up in Midland. I do have family nearby in Wixom Lake, so I had visited, but I remember when I was moving here, I was like, wow, if younger me knew what I was doing now, what would she say? It's just crazy to think about the places you end up.
So what was your relationship like to nature? You said growing up in Flint, and I think a lot of people assume Flint's just a city and there's just hustle bustle and there's things going on, but it's still Michigan and you're still not growing up like surrounded by like the tallest buildings in the world. It's a mid-sized Midwestern community. Yeah, totally. So what was your connection to nature when you were growing up? Yeah,
outdoor activity was something we were always doing. So I played a lot of sports, so I was outside a lot just for practices. But Genesee County also has the largest county park system. So a lot of times we were hiking, and it wasn't even just educationally learning about things or pointing things out. It was just being out there because it was
just part of your life.
Resource. Yeah, right? We're just using it. So there was a lot of connection there. And growing up and with the Flint water crisis and just seeing how it affected people, it never affected us personally, but seeing how it affected the residents and how community members were like so involved in the work, but like not getting anything done was just so frustrating to me, especially as like a younger kid seeing it. So I always knew I wanted to do community work. Like I always wanted to do something for like a cause. And I knew that would help me get to work every day, right? And it wasn't until college that I was like, oh, wait, this is a possibility. I could be outside. This matters to literally all of us. And that's kind of how I realized I was like, yeah, I spent a lot of time outside. Even if I never saw myself as an environmental like nerd, I did, use the outdoors as a resource and really enjoyed it. So.
Well, and you grew up and you went to Kersley for a little bit, and then eventually you went to Davison, where your dad was or is a teacher.
Yes, is an art teacher.
Okay,
yes.
still an art teacher.
Yes.
That's awesome. That's really cool. So you had kind of this different experience of a little bit of city life, a little bit of country life, very well-rounded in that, and you're meeting all sorts of different people, and you're playing sports. So what were you involved in as a high schooler?
Yeah, so I was really involved in athletics. So I did soccer, cross country, and track. I was a dual sport athlete in the springtime with track and soccer, which I loved. So a lot of like running on trails, and cross country is a lot of, forested outdoor running. So that's probably where a lot of that connection came from too. And yeah, I was an honor student, but honestly, I was more focused on my athletics. And I think you have an identity as an athlete a lot when you're in high school. And so going into college, it was kind of hard. I'm like, who am I now that I'm not running all the time? Like, nobody knows I'm an athlete. What am I supposed to do here?
You can keep running.
I know, but I'm like, man, like, I'm not that person. Like, who am I? Like trying to figure out. I think it's sometimes hard as an athlete that I went to Davison for running and track. So it was always on my mind that, like, this was the most important thing. And losing that, I think, was really good for me because it opened up new avenues, and switching schools, although I was really scared of it, was really good for me too. And allowed me to get a lot of different perspectives that I'm really glad I have now.
Well, and when you went away to college, you went to a couple different universities, and I think that's part of you figuring yourself out as well. They weren't too far apart from one another.
They weren't.
But so first you ended up going to Eastern, correct?
Yes, Fly Eagles. Yeah.
And what was your biggest interest over there? Like, what were you trying to do educationally at Eastern Michigan?
Honestly, I had just taken tours, and out of all of the tours, that felt the best. It made sense for me. I liked IPSY. I was just general studies.
Not YIPSY?
No. Oh my gosh! Right now that I've lived in the dorm at Eastern, I can properly say it. Right. But
do you just scoff when someone pulls out a YIPSY?
I have a slight smirk on my face.
Like, you're from Michigan. Like, what are you doing? I say YIPSY.
Yeah. You can't blame anyone for how they say it, right? We created these words. What are we even doing here? Yeah. But it was really great for me to start. Then I realized. Because you're an 18-year-old, right? Making decisions about what you're going to do with the rest of your life. So I think it was really confusing. And I think something my dad said that really helped me was you can always change your mind. Like in that moment, I had totally thought I'm committing to something for 4 years. And once he said that, I was like, oh my gosh, I can change my mind. I do have free will, which of course we should know. But it really helped me realize that halfway through, it wasn't kind of what I wanted anymore. It was a large commuter school. I kind of wanted to be in a bigger environment. With a program that aligned better with me, and that's why I transferred to U of M.
And you went to U of M at the same time. I think one of your siblings was going over there,
my sister, which was the best.
Did you steal the shine from your sister? How does this work? Like, is there like a sibling rivalry there?
There's not, because it turned out so well. That was because it was so great. I loved being there with my sister, Ava. We spent a lot of time just walking around the city and like getting to learn these things together and experiencing just the restaurants or the same type of events, right? Like I had season football ticket games, but I gave them to my sister because I was like, this really isn't my thing. So you can enjoy this. So, it really worked out, sharing information and just having your buddy there. So I'm so grateful for that. Although maybe at the beginning it wasn't the ideal situation, but turned out really well for us.
Ann Arbor is one of the coolest places you can visit. And I'm assuming living there is absolutely incredible too. If you're talking about walkability and connection, in terms of Michigan, that's kind of the ultimate spot.
Oh, yeah, totally.
What were some of your favorite places to hang out in Ann Arbor?
Yeah, that's a good question. Honestly, like you're saying walkability, like if you're a student who doesn't have a lot of money, we're just walking around. And so a lot of times it would be finding like a little random tennis court in the middle of a neighborhood and playing tennis for a little bit. I really like going to Pinball Pete's, of course. Of course, I love that dark basement in the summertime coming out. It's like a whole new world. And in terms of food, we really like to go to Frida's. We were kind of over on that Carytown side of things. So definitely a Carytown fan. And
I need a
fan.
potato now.
Oh my gosh, it's the best. That's
so
what I miss
good.
so much.
It's
Midland,
so good.
Midland, you need one, please, please. Yeah.
Listen, everyone that comes on the show now, I'm just going to start writing business ideas. We'll put them on the back of the painting.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you looking for an investment opportunity? Have you considered Frida's?
Things. These are very successful. You should try them. Yeah.
So you exit University of Michigan, and what does it look like for you to get from University of Michigan up here to Midland?
Yeah, totally. So that was honestly something I was thinking about too, because you don't really hear a lot about conservation work or typical jobs of conservationists. But my dad actually, he is a teacher, but part-time. He did an AmeriCorps program. He recommended it to me. And of course I was like, no, I'm not going to do what my dad says. And then I was like, well, it's a good idea. It's a good idea. I'll apply. And I did, and I'm really happy I did. It was a program that's not around anymore through Huron Pines. So you got to pick a host site, and I interviewed at a couple places. I was leaning towards Midland because my family's cabin was on Wixom Lake, but honestly, having the interview with Alon and Shelby was like such a relief, because talking to them, I was like, I know I want to work with them, and I'm glad it worked out this way.
I mean, who would want to work with them?
I know, right? It was like the best conversation, so easy to talk to. So honestly, like off the bat, it was people-based, and coming here because I know I want to work with this team. I want to work with a smaller team, so I get to know them better. So that was a really big positive draw to it. And like I said, I had a cabin. My family has a cabin on Wixom Lake that luckily was a little bit higher, so it wasn't completely, ruined and had to be gutted by the flood that I could stay at. So I made the drive in 30 minutes, and I loved it. I like living up there. And that's how I got here. And then I got hired on after my AmeriCorps term of service in 2024 as the Conservation Outreach Coordinator.
And now you're a Midlander.
And now I'm a Midlander. Now I know everything.
Now you know everything. You're right in it.
Yeah.
But going from University of Michigan, moving up here, taking that AmeriCorps position, and AmeriCorps is so important to making so many things tick, and I hope folks understand that as well.
Yeah.
But moving up to this area, you're not only moving to Midland, and you mentioned you're moving to Wixom Lake. Like you're moving to a more rural area, kind of an area I grew up in.
Yeah, totally.
And those spaces are really different, right?
They are.
You're talking about you're no longer going down to Pinball Pete's to play pinball. You're going to drive 10, 15 minutes, and you might get dinner at the Juicy Bone on Dale Road in Beaverton. And that's a different experience.
Exactly.
Did you have any sort of culture shock from that hyper small town activity?
I want to say yes. I think the biggest culture shock was grocery stores. Not being around a Meijer or doing my grocery shopping in Midland before I went home was kind of something that I was hating to do at the end of my workday. But other than that, I think I was kind of used to it because I was so ready to kind of just be out and kind of have a different sort of, like you're saying, different lifestyle from Ann Arbor, and kind of see what it's like when you don't have everything accessible, when there's not sidewalks that can take you everywhere, right? I'm going from a college community to a retired community, essentially. So I was really excited to see how it was different. I do love the Juicy Bone. It was so close. It's probably a 5-minute drive, not even 15.
There's a spectrum of experiences you can have at the Juicy Bone. It's a very special place.
Yeah, it really is. But like anywhere, I mean, the experience is what you make it. And although there wasn't a lot up there, I kind of love finding little funny things or off the beaten path things that you can make fun and that you can explore. And I had a great time.
And you were working in these areas too, so these are spaces where Little Forks has a footing as well. And a lot of times I think people that move to Midland and end up living in Midland, especially young professionals, have maybe more of an office job, and maybe they come from a larger area, they might not understand how vast our county actually is.
Yeah.
And our county has different needs based on where we are situated at. So we might have 40-some thousand here in our city limits, but there's also an additional 40-some thousand people spread out amongst numerous square miles across this county. You might not have neighbors that are extremely close. You might have to drive a mile to get to someone. You might have to walk 2 miles to get to someone.
Yeah.
And it really highlights the needs that people can have and how those are met in different ways. Now, mind you, there's tons of benefits to living out in the woods, and I absolutely miss it and loved it, and was such a good time, and I'm very happy with living here in town too, but it's just a completely different experience.
Yeah. I was thinking, what were the things that you were doing to be outside? Was it just if your grandparents were to kick you out?
Oh, yeah.
Where were you going to be outside?
So for me, I grew up in a neighborhood that had nobody around. So we grew up on pretty high acreage. I was raised by my grandparents. grandparents, and my grandpa, he laid tile his whole life just to have a small little bit of property where we could hunt, we could hang out. So I always tell people we weren't farming. We weren't like farming country people. We were more like hopping on the four-wheeler country people.
Totally.
Like kind of have the play toy, go in the woods. But for me, like my favorite thing too was just not obstructing anyone. So right now, if I went out my driveway and I started dribbling a basketball around and shooting hoops all night and playing music, I think that my neighbors would be a little bit like, it's okay, but come on now, like tone it down. For me, no one could hear me. So it's like I'm out shooting hoops all day, just enjoying life, out biking. We would always sneak down to the Tittabawassee River because I was near Albright Shores. So if you're talking where you were at, I was a little bit more north, I guess you would say. So I was about 25 minutes from Midland, 15 from Beaverton, 15 from Gladwin. So we'd always have these little secret trails and this rope swing that I don't think we were necessarily supposed to be on.
but that's the best, right?
It was some real country stuff. And then it was, at the end of the day, if you want to go to a movie, you drive to Midland. and then you come to Midland, and this is the big city.
Do the city stuff in Midland, but do the country stuff out there, right?
So where were you grocery shopping when you were living out there?
It changed ownership, but I think now it's Rosati's.
You were on 30 and Dale Road there?
It's literally 2 minutes down the road, and if not, it would be Edenville Market. For a couple choice goods from there.
Absolutely.
But Dollar General wasn't there when we were going there. And then when I moved up here, I was like, oh, dang, there's a Dollar General. And of course, I'm like, well, they're popping up everywhere, but I'm going to it because that's where you get things. It's one of the reliable places in town to grab something real quick. So those two places. And then if I wanted to venture in town a little bit more, it'd be Sanford Food Center. Because that's just right on the road, not too far. If you need something special, but yeah.
And now you're in town here, and I know you live near Northwood University and near the rail trail. What type of stuff are you guys doing in Midland, and how are you interacting with nature here?
Yeah, totally. It's definitely more different. Like you were saying, like exploration based is how I feel like it was up in Gladwin, Edenville area. You're doing a lot more of like, should I be here? But here in Midland, we're hiking a lot more of Little Forks properties, especially because we're on Saginaw Road, so just down the road is Averill and Forest View. So I really love to do Forest View. After a day of work, it's like 45 minutes. It's a mile, and it's so beautiful. But a lot of the rail trail, you're right, biking a lot. Sometimes Northwoods trails, too, going just around campus. If you want to get that campus feel, it's good to walk around there. Of course, Frick's is nearby. That's not nature, but it's a walk. You're outside.
Listen, I live downtown. We walk to Frick's sometimes. It's a nice 50-minute walk. We get it in there.
You do it. You do it for Frick's.
You got to do it for Frick's sometimes.
You got to,
So you mentioned going to a couple different Little Forks properties. If somebody was unfamiliar with your properties and didn't understand, like, hey, how can I access these? Are they public use? Do you have to pay? What is that like for a user experience for a community member here that might be looking for a new hike?
Totally. That's a really good question. So our preserves are publicly accessible, open, free. People are open to use them from dawn till dusk is what we say. So that changes seasonally. One thing that's cool about our trails is that they're dog friendly. So people can feel free to bring their dogs on leash and walk them. A lot of them have rustic grass and dirt trails is a lot of what you'll see, although our Averill Preserve has 800 feet of universally accessible trail, which is cool. But yeah, these are really nice places. A lot of times it's a large chunk of acreage protected, and the trails are maintained by us, the Conservancy. We allow different sort of recreational opportunities. So people are out there biking, snowshoeing, hiking, but they also can fish. A lot of times we have rivers on our preserves. And in some of our preserves, we even have hunting by permit, depending on what preserve and what time of year. So there's a lot of different things people can do at our preserves.
When you and I talk, I can hear it in your voice. Accessible nature is very important to you.
Yeah, totally.
So what does that mean to you? But also, can you just talk about the benefits of having accessibility to these type of places?
Yeah, totally. I think a lot of times when we're talking about getting people outdoors, we think it's really easy, right? Just step outside and you're in nature, but that's really not true. Sometimes it can be hard to provide accessibility in some of these areas because they're so remote. We're trying to preserve conservation values, so we're not able to pave a path through something, but we're able to try to, like at Averill, give an 800 feet of path with a river overlook so that you're still able to see the river, right? I think about this a lot, not even just for other people, but for myself. If I get older, I want to visit this preserve. I should be able to do that still. And so if it's hard to be empathetic about other people, at least think about it for yourself. Like you would want to go back and do that, right? So I think that's something that's really important. What we're trying to do is prove that anybody can be in the outdoors. It's not what just one person looks like. Anyone can have a connection, and I think having more diversity is better because it shows these different connections that you might be not observing if you have a certain viewpoint. So that's always what we're trying to do and create accessible, inclusive programs so that everyone can be outside.
And I know you've been working on some initiatives coming up. We have Neighboring Week coming up.
Yeah.
We have Global Diversity Month coming up. So when we talk about diversity in nature, we talk about having to be really bold about taking this stance. What does that look like from your point of view?
Yeah, totally. I think when we're talking about, especially with like Global Diversity Month coming up, highlighting people who have experience truly in being excluded in the outdoors. And sometimes we're not even thinking about it. You might not feel excluded, but if you think about where do you get your information from? Who tells you about this stuff? Who's educating you on the environment?
Confirmation biases.
Yeah, right? That's something that you don't really think about because it's like sometimes you're learning so many new things. It's like, wow, this is awesome. This is this breadth of knowledge that I'm receiving. But sometimes you have to think, where is it coming from? You know what I mean? So it's always important to step back and do that. And Little Forks, we want to have programs where people can come and talk about this, where people can kind of say their point of view. And I think that's important because we're not even informed all the way. I think the first step is to be informed and then figure out how are we creating these programs to truly be effective.
Well said. So any sort of Global Diversity Month programming people can look for, and if so, where would they get that information at?
Yeah, we're hoping to. We don't have solid set plans yet. We're still in the talks of how this program would work, but it will be in October. You can always keep an eye on our website. We have an events page that I update. We also have social media.
Of course you do.
Yeah, of course. It's me, guys. It's just me. On Facebook. We also post our events and stuff there. And we also share events to the Max Loves Midland calendar. So really nice to get those what's going on this week, in Midland County sort of things on social media too.
Nice. So we mentioned some of your favorite preserves. Give us a top 3 here. Like, what's your little ranking of your favorite spots to go check out?
So, this is hard because...
And you love all of them equally. Like, let's just say that right away.
Do.
But then, if you didn't have to love all of them equally...
If I was able to be free, I'm saying number 1 is Forest View, okay? I really love Forest View just because of...
Where's Forest View located at?
Forest View is on Tittabawassee River Road off Saginaw. Okay. So if you're going towards Sanford, you pass Midland Brewing Company, you go down, you take a left, and then you go down the road. It's the first gravel driveway on the right. So it's kind of hidden away, which is what I like about it too. I really like it too because it is that like 1 mile loop. So if people aren't really outdoorsy, right, they'll still enjoy it. And I really like that one because there's a lot of different habitat types. So you're walking through wetlands, but there's also like a really cool pine stand and stuff like that. People have been married there actually in that pine stand. So it's really cool. And then second, I'm going up to Gladwin for the George and Sue Lane Preserve. It's 270 acres. The Cedar River's in it. I would put that number 1, but because it's so far away,
not accessible enough for you.
I can't. But I mean, a day in the river there, like put a chair up in the river, get ice cream after up there in Gladwin. It's like the best day ever. And then third, I think I'm choosing Riverview Natural Area. Have you been there?
I have been to Riverview, yes.
Cool. Yeah, that one's like our largest one, 419 acres. But if you do like the full 4 mile loop, it's a really nice hike. And the ravine stairway is really cool. Yes. And it's like high bank Riverview, which I like. So sorry, Averill, but Riverview is number 3 for me.
Riverview is great. And Riverview, remind everyone where that's at as well.
Yeah, so that's off M20. So kind of actually by the M20 liquor store. You take
you take Homer Road right there, yeah.
Yep, and it will take you all the way down. It will curve and turn into Wheeler, and then it'll be there on the right. A lot of people don't know about that one too because it's on a dead-end road, right? But it's really nice, 419 acres along the Tittabawassee too. And actually, Forest View is right across the river from that. So we were able to protect river on both sides, which is really cool.
And like that also has a great view too of not only just the river and being out there in the woods. There's also like some plains. It kind of butts up against some plains there
like
too.
The agricultural field.
It's like it's really diverse right there too in the type of hike that you can get in.
Exactly. So. And that's a really cool project we're doing too. So that is an agricultural field that we're eventually going to be turning into a wetland. So through a program that we're doing, we're able to right now lease it as farmland, but eventually we're going to try to remove that tile and kind of put it back to what it should be or what it used to be as a wetland. It's really important too in Midland because our preserves, being along rivers, are like flood mitigation areas. So we don't want development or infrastructure there. But if we can have hiking trails that are usable for part of the year that aren't affecting the community, I think that's really great.
My favorite way to experience the river is always on my kayak.
Yeah, you're a kayaker.
So my girlfriend and I, we love going out on our kayaks. And recently over 4th of July, we did a nice 2-night kayak camping trip on the Au Sable, which was awesome.
Jealous.
And I would love to have some experiences like that around here. And, you know, quite often we'll do the northeast runs.
Yeah.
And she's actually done Sanford up to Tittabawassee to the
cool.
Tridge entrance,
Yeah,
which
yeah,
I
yeah.
haven't never done that version of it. So
Yeah.
that's exciting. I think kayak culture is really picking up
Yeah,
here.
totally.
What are some of the better spots to go kayaking as well? And I know the Cedar River's underrated as well in Gladwin.
Yeah, it really is. We actually just did a cleanup on the Cedar River last Friday. And so we did a stretch from Gladwin City Park to Northern Sites, which was amazing. Usually that one's kind of hard to go because there's a lot of like obstructions in the way. Actually, we had a little bit of rain, so the current was going. So I felt like we were on a river.
So it was like you were working out.
Yeah, no, yeah. It was like, sometimes it was a little dangerous. So I was like, we're really out here, like kayaking for trash. Like this is for our community. This is for the wildlife. We're out here, guys. You don't understand. But yeah, I really do like that stretch. I think it's so accessible from the nature center down to the Tridge, like what we did for that cleanup. I really enjoy that. And honestly, I kind of like walking or tubing rivers more than I like kayaking them. I feel like I have more ability to move around when I'm in a kayak. Sometimes I'm like get frustrated and stuck, you know, my arms hurt. I kind of like to be free in swimming. So that cleanup we did was like ideal for me.
Yeah, Lily's a proud member of our River Rats committee
River Rats,
for planning river days.
Yeah, put it on my grave.
This year we had an awesome cleanup down by the Tridge.
Yeah.
And what I thought was so interesting about that cleanup too is we had, I think, 3 people that had moved to Midland within the last week and they were not connected to one another.
so cool.
So we had a few of them show up and
Okay.
just having conversations. Obviously, we tell them about Max, tell
Yeah.
them about Midland Young Professionals, and just give them conversation about ways to get involved. But without even looking out resources for how to get involved, I thought it was really neat that they organically
Yeah.
figured out the way for them to get involved in the community and meet people was to intersect with nature and preserving nature here locally and other
Yeah.
folks that care about being in this community and taking care of our places, and
Yeah.
especially down by the Tridge where you have the convergence of water and water sport, and then also outdoor hiking and land sport, and there's so much going on there, and it was just a really cool way to intersect with new people. And if people are trying to get involved in Little Forks or understand how they could be a part of community change, where would you send them to?
Yeah, totally. So you're definitely like right about like, I feel like a lot of times at our events, a lot of people are like, I'm new to the area and I'm trying to find people like me. I'm trying to find people to hike with and be outside. And so that's really cool. And I think we do a really good job of connecting people, not only with the events that we're hosting, but other groups that we know that, for example, on Facebook, there's a group called Great Lakes Bay Hiking Club that's just kind of formed naturally, but they host their own hikes, right? And so if anyone's new to the area, I'll say definitely come to our events and check our events page. Or if you want to get involved through volunteering, fill out a volunteer application on our page. But here's this group of people.
Super neat.
Yeah, so that they can find who they like, or they want to get more into native gardening and it's wild ones, right? So it's not only us, but we're kind of this network. And yeah, some of those people who came to the cleanup came to our Cedar River cleanup the next week. So it was really cool to see people just involved because they want to be, right?
It brings people together in a different way.
Yeah.
And a lot of times people go out into nature to get away.
Yeah.
And that's not necessarily the case for everyone.
Yeah.
Sometimes it takes joining hands and spending time out there with someone you love, someone you care about, or sometimes it's with complete strangers that can become friends because you're deciding to take care of the area.
Yeah.
And we all have different roles that we play in the community. And, you know, I'm not saying I'm going on river cleanups every single weekend or anything like that, but I do think it's important for people to know that they can intersect with community in different ways. And it feels to be a really, really welcoming community. So as y'all have the mission to break those barriers down, and not just you, but all of these organizations you're involved with, your coworkers, your colleagues, other spaces here in Midland, I feel like you're doing an incredible job of removing those barriers for people in multiple different ways, whether that's areas like the Chippewa Nature Center having some accessible pathways, whether that's the city of Midland keeping the rail trail clean, whether it's y'all just digging into conservation here and working alongside others, or wild ones like looking at invasive plants. There's just so many ways that people can intersect with nature and become a part of this change. And I think it's super cool.
I think it's really cool because when you're thinking about Midland, or at least when I was thinking about Midland, I didn't think of it as a place that was a super rich area and natural resources. Although two rivers come together at the church, like how could you not see that, right? But I don't think people understand that this area with all the parks, right, with the nature center, with our properties as a conservancy, if you like outdoor rec, this is the place to be, in my opinion, because you can kayak, then you can go take a hike. And then also, if you want to visit places around the state of Michigan, me and my boyfriend say this all the time, you're like 2 hours away from anything. So you're in the middle. And then if you really, really dig into species and identification, Midland is in a really cool area where it's a ecotone in between two different areas. So a lot of species are usually seen in the northern part of the Lower Peninsula or the southern part. But here in Midland, you kind of see a mix of both as they start to find each other. So you're able to see a lot of cool species that I might not be able to see living in Flint, right?
You just mentioned one of my favorite value propositions of our location here in Midland, and is that so many places are so accessible from different avenues. So, I mean, you can get out in nature around here, or if you want to get up north, I always say you're pretty close to the dividing line right now of up north. You can head up that way and, you know, immerse yourself in even more nature, or you can go have some wine in Traverse City a couple hours away, or you can shoot down to Grand Rapids if you want to go get some craft beer.
Exactly.
You can go down to Detroit in a couple hours if you want to hit a concert, sporting event, whatever it is. It's pretty remarkable. So what are some of your other favorite spots in the state? If you were talking to somebody from outside of the state and you were mentioning like, hey, you have to go here, where would you tell them to go to?
Yeah, wow, that's a really hard one. Of course, we always like Traverse City area and hiking. Grand Traverse Regional Land Conservancy has done a really great job. They have so many great properties.
They're
I'm sure,
awesome.
I've
been there for meetings even.
Oh,
it's just really bizarre. Like,
I mean, it's a meeting space, right? Like everyone can connect to nature, so it's a great spot. I know as a family, we really like to do the sand dunes. Of course, it's like a Michigan staple. You have to do it at least once. My family usually takes a trip for Memorial Day, and my dad is like, sand dunes every year. So we've done it like 13 times, and it's like, okay, let's switch it up sometimes. But of course, it's a staple, right? It's really cool, really different environment. I really enjoy being on some of these properties that are northern, more sandy, because it's so fun. I like plants to see what's growing there. It's like, how could you grow from no moisture and no nutrients? It's just really cool. So I really like that. There's also a cute little preserve kind of owned by Little Forks Conservancy and somebody else. I can't remember exactly who owns it and manages it, but I think it's Thorn Swift Nature Preserve, and it has really cute trails down to a beach. So really love that, and they have a cute little nature center too. So yeah, if you're heading up towards Traverse City area, I would say that. Although if you're doing the east side, I really like going to Alabaster. That's a place that we've gone beachcombing before. And the east side is underrepresented. I think we were talking about that. Everyone loves the west side, so.
Justice for Lake Huron.
Yeah, right?
Even last weekend, I was in Port Crescent State Park, and I know, so that's tip of the thumb, Port Austin area, which is awesome. This weekend I'm heading over to Sleeper and checking that out a little bit. There's just great stuff in the thumb too, but then if you're talking northeast, Tawas is gorgeous, and there's so many great areas north of that, and even some little waterfalls that are hidden away that people don't know about. Yeah, totally. And justice for Lake Huron a little bit. There's a lot of really good stuff on our side of the state.
For real. Yeah, we totally say that like West Side has those beaches and everybody loves it.
Well, it's amazing. I mean, I'm not going to discount the West Side.
Yeah, but you got to give the East Side a chance, especially Huron Pines up in like Alpena area has some really cool properties that are worth checking out too.
So, and we talked about nature being for everyone, but when you and I met before, we had a little bit of a conversation, and you said one of your favorite parts of working in nature is working with kids, at least when you're doing programming for Little Forks. So what does that look like from your point of view, and how does that programming intersect with them? Yeah,
totally. So we don't really have set programs, or a lot of people ask me about like fees for programs. We don't really do any of that. We just say yes, and I come out to schools and kind of do what works with the group. So I've gone to Sieber Elementary. They had a robotics team that was kind of looking around how to make a little like robot to clean up trash and stuff. But I also thought, well, it might be cool to take them out to the stream. There's a creek, there's a drain there. If we look at the bugs in the river and kind of look at the trash and see what's there, they get a better understanding that connects them more. So although it was more about like, teach us about the river, I was like, let's go look for bugs in the river, because I know that connection is really what's going to matter. It's not going to be me talking to them, but it's going to be me showing them how to do something with their hands, right? So I've done things like that. I've done hikes with Girl Scout groups, which is really fun. I see a lot of those kids out in the community later. And one of my favorite moments ever was the best. I always remember this is we have insect homes on our preserves. And basically it's a place for solitary bees or other bugs to nest. And so I'm telling the kids about the bees and who uses this. And then I saw her like 6 months later, actually at that sampling thing for Siebert. And she waited till the entire thing was done, and she came up to me when everybody was leaving, and she was like, "How are the bees?" And I was like, that is so funny. You remember this one part. Like, I almost forgot about that. And I was like, this is the best day ever because I get to be like the speaker for the bees today and like just be like, they're doing good. Like, they're doing good. We're still making homes for them. But it's like things like that where they are learning so much and they remember and they're so impressionable. It's really important, I think, to teach them these things now because that's what made us like this stuff, right? It was those experiences we had as kids.
Are you saying that you like when the little kids ask you questions about nature more than when you were in your dorm room and people would be like, what are all these bugs in your dorm room?
Yeah, no, for real. I like when they're in it with me, right? They want to know about the bugs. Yeah.
So awesome.
Yeah.
Well, and thank you for being in it with us today.
Yeah.
We're going to end the show the way that we're ending every show now.
Yes.
We talked about stuff to do within our state.
Mm-hmm.
We talked a lot about the work of Little Forks and the way that you guys intersect with our community and the way that folks can get involved. But outside of work, let's plan a day real quick. I want to know what your day in Midland would look like. What is Midland from your lenses?
So this is a little hard for me because I'm thinking like, I think this has to be a day where it's like springtime. It might snow. Because I have some snow activities and some spring activities. So let's imagine it's like a day where it's like, it could snow in Michigan today.
It's like the Mean Girls thing. You're like, what's your perfect day? Like,
exactly. So I'm starting out
Riverview.
Miss
Congeniality. Either way.
No, I know.
Continue.
You're right.
Continue.
You're right. It didn't happen. I start at Riverview. That's my favorite right now. I like to start off hiking in the morning. I think like getting that and like starting that way is really nice. If I'm feeling good, I'll do the 4 miles. If I'm not, I'll do our South Loop, which is just like around a mile. And since I'm on that side of town on M20, I'll probably stop at the Midland Antique Center just to see what they got in there. I love antiquing. They have like a $3 trinket shelf. So it's like, I got $3. I can see what's there. So I'll stop in there probably be around lunchtime. Usually what me and my boyfriend do is look up Sawadi and see where they're at and do some stalking.
Solid
on
work.
Facebook. Yeah. If they're in town, that's my perfect day. We'll go over there and see Santi and Maris, and then
what's your order?
If I'm with my boyfriend, this has to work out perfectly because I'm vegetarian and he's not. So he gets the bowl with the chicken and the rice and the veggies. He'll eat the chicken, I'll eat the rice and the veggies, and then I get a side of spring rolls with the Thai iced coffee.
Okay.
I love the Thai iced coffee. It's so good.
Perfect date day then for you guys.
Oh my gosh, it's perfect. And then after that, I'm going to the library. He's probably gone at that point. He's probably playing basketball or something. Yeah, that's fine. Let him go.
Good moves.
Yeah.
Good moves.
Yeah. I'll go to the library, get a book probably, and like chill for the afternoon. That's kind of like a nap time, rest time. And then let's say it starts snowing. This is where the snow activity comes in. Okay. We love going to Emerson Park and skating on the rink at night with the lights. That's like the best thing ever. So we'd probably do that for a little bit. And then especially at night because those lights are on, so you can go as long as
it's usually not super busy.
No, it's not.
Sometimes you roll up and people are playing hockey.
And if they are, I'll leave, right? I'm not good enough to be out there. I understand it's not my time. I can't skate out there with them. I will take a drive around the block and come back and wait for them to leave. But I really love that. It was so fun last winter to do that. It extends your day, too, because usually, you're done at 5 with the sun. And then I think ending it probably a dinner somewhere, probably Three Bridges. We'd go there. Three Bridges is always solid, good drinks. The pizza's really good. Or if we want to go closer to home, we'll do Frick's or maybe even Entre Amigos if we're feeling it. But yeah, that's the perfect day with snow and summer together, right? But yeah.
No, that's an amazing day in Midland. Yeah. And as you look forward at the future of our community, what are some of your hopes and dreams for this place?
Yeah, totally. The statement that like I always come back to, especially because it's on the side of our building where we work downtown with the mural, is the Together Forward Bold statement. I really think this community is well together, right? We talk a lot. There's really good relationships. I think it's really people-based, but I'd really like to see the bold part start to come out more, start to make events and things that we might not have done before because that's what we need, right? We talk about creating this sense of place. So continuing to be bold. And of course, I always hope that there's more natural areas that we're able to protect, that there's more people that are coming forward that want to do this work with us. So I'd say continue being bold. Yeah.
Well, Lily, thank you so much for being with us today.
You.
And hopefully we fulfilled your dream of coming on the Max Loves Midland Show.
My dream is so fulfilled.
So we appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
And thank you all for being with us today as well. This has been another great episode of the Max Loves Midland Show. Make sure you're checking us out at maxlovesmidland.com. We've had thousands of community events posted there. It's a place for you to see what's going on in your community and see if you can fit in anywhere else and see if you can meet a new community member, make a new friend, and draw those emotional connections to our place. Whether you're watching on YouTube, whether you're listening on Spotify, whether you're listening on Apple or any other podcast service, we really appreciate you being along for the ride. And also, if you are listening to us on WSGW, thank you for letting us come across your radio waves. Local programming is important, and thank you so much for WSGW for being a great partner. I also want to give a shout out to J&C Media. Sometimes I forget them on the show, and that's not to be done because they do incredible work for us. A couple weeks ago, we had a live episode of the Max Loves Midland Show at River Days. Go check that coverage out. That is hard to do. So thank you so much for J&C Media. And as I always say on the Max Loves Midland Show, if you build a bridge and it's not working out for you, just build a tridge. Thank you. Subscribe wherever you consume media. Max Loves Midland is your entertainment, resources, and collective improvement hub for Midland County. Plan your next adventure in Midland at maxlovesmidland.com.